Okay, we're going to have to do this again. Let's talk about the Epstein list, but let's talk specifically about some of the accusations and false accusations. So, look, Donald Trump today said, hey, Congress should vote to release the Epstein list, and he's pouting about it, but let me be very clear about something. Donald Trump could release this literally this moment if he wanted to. There's nothing that stops Donald Trump from telling the Department of Justice to release all the information. The other thing, we know he's in it. We already know this. We know he's all over the place. I don't know in what capacity, but we know he's in it and we know he's freaking out. But let's revisit the very beginning. When somebody says, and they all say this, why didn't the Democrats release the Epstein files when they were in charge? Well, it's very simple. It's a couple of things. First off, there was an ongoing case with Ghislaine Maxwell, and you can't release that stuff that is being used as evidence. Secondly, the Democrats assumed, actually most Americans assumed, the Department of Justice had this information and they would do what they needed to do with it, that they would use that to go after people they needed to go after. And also, Donald Trump and the Republicans ran on the issue of the Epstein files. And they made every Democrat, they accused every Democrat, they even accused people like me, people that didn't like Donald Trump, of being in the files. They used it and hung it around people's necks. Every Democrat's in the files, that's why, or Bill Clinton's in the files, or whoever's in the files. They used it to win an election, promising transparency. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Well, it's pretty simple. All of a sudden, Donald Trump wins. Remember, they released a few of the files, but to people like DC Drano and some of those weirdos. And then they came out and realized they basically had everything that had already been released anyway. Yeah, that was crazy. That was embarrassing. So they get pissed off. And now they're scrambling. And then Donald Trump starts the thing of saying this is actually a Democratic hoax. They made this whole thing up, despite the fact that he and so many Republicans ran on the Epstein stuff. And then now claims it's made up. So what does that do? Well, that naturally makes all of us curious. What's he doing? Why is he so worried about this? So yeah, now everybody wants it released. And then Mike Johnson keeps Congress out of session for 7 weeks to prevent the 218th signature on the discharge petition. And now they know it's happening because thankfully a couple brave Republicans, by the way, there are going to be a bunch that vote to release the files that didn't sign the discharge petition. That is not courage. That's cowardice. But that's going to come for a vote. So now he's pretending like he's for it. But again, let's remember something. He could release it right now. Now, I don't know if they're scrubbing the files, if they're going through or doing whatever. But can we stop letting ourselves be gaslit by this guy? Pretending like the interest in Epstein is just new, or pretending like this is all a big Democratic conspiracy is insane because we all remember things. We have a memory that's longer than 10 months. We remember what he ran on. We remember the fact that every single person they didn't like was accused of being on the list. And what does that mean? It's not just some thing they're accusing of being on the list. They're accusing those people of being pedophiles. Like the worst accusation. And then what does Megyn Kelly do? She does a video where she says, well, 15 is not really pedophilia because they've hit puberty and they've got the parts. I mean, the level of disgustingness from these people is out of control. And on top of all of that, they're just going to gaslight you to believe it was never an issue and you're the one that's being dramatic. They're in full panic mode. They're building a $300 million ballroom, having great Gatsby parties, housing the first trillionaire, Elon Musk, in the country's history, by the way, who ran around stage giggling with a chainsaw because he was taking away the very thing that Americans need and that people in Africa need to save their life. AIDS medicine as an example. They sit around and giggle about that, and Americans, meanwhile, are going, we're being left behind. The income inequality in this country is growing massively. Most people can't afford a new house. So many people right now live one paycheck away from disaster. And by the way, because the Republicans shut down government, and they like to say, well, it was the Democrats, they could have voted for it, but the Democrats had a tiny bit of power and a moment to do something with it, and Republicans have made it clear from the very beginning they had no desire to ever talk to Democrats, so of course Democrats are going to use their little bit of leverage, and it is the responsibility of the party in charge of government to find a way to fund it and make it work. But with all of that going on, and all that spending, all that income inequality, all of the grift, the Trumps that now have $2 billion in cryptocurrency that was invented out of thin air. By the way, we gave Qatar, after they gave us a $400 million jet, let me take that back, after they gave Trump, who takes it when he leaves office, a $400 million jet that the American taxpayers are going to spend $1 billion upgrading, by the way. After he gets out from Qatar, he gives Qatar the equivalent of Article 5 in NATO. Basically saying, if anybody attacks Qatar, we will defend you with everything the United States military has to offer. Qatar. Why? Donald Trump won't even help Ukraine, but a country like Qatar, who's played it right down the middle when it comes to things like terrorism, all of a sudden they get Article 5 protection? Very easy. It's corruption. Everything is corruption. Everything is gaslighting. The fact that Donald Trump pretends like he's doing a great service to America, but he has now quadrupled his wealth. The fact that anywhere he goes around the world, one of the Trump kids follows and builds a golf course or a country club or something. All his friends are getting rich and they're buying all the media up, by the way. Meanwhile, the poor keep struggling. And what does Donald Trump do? He fights during the government shutdown. He fights to cut off access to food stamps. He fights to make sure that any kind of help on Obamacare is prevented. And that's why your Obamacare premiums are going up so much, because that's what the Republicans have done. He's not fighting for the little guy. He's using the little guy. He's stepping on the little guy. And his magic power is he convinces people that no matter how bad they feel and no matter how bad he mistreats them, at least he hates the people they hate. Because for 30 years, they've been programmed by Fox News and everywhere else to hate the left. And all of a sudden, the enemy of my enemy, that's Donald Trump. No matter how much he steals, he's convinced people, at least I hate the same people you do. I think we're hitting a wall. This is the end. We're tired of it. And people need to stand up. And did I already say it? Let's say it again. Stop the gaslighting. Stop it. Release the files. Stop the gaslighting. And let's make sure Elon Musk never actually reaches $1 trillion. Take care. No more gaslighting.